They're not really your friends, the quiet erosion behind fake friendship. Some people will never raise their voice at you. They won't betray you in dramatic ways. They don't have to. All they need is a faint smile, the occasional text, and to disappear the moment you need them the most. They'll call you best friend, but you'll feel like you're the only one holding the relationship together. They'll ask you questions that sound innocent but leave tiny cuts in your trust. This isn't open hostility. This is usage. And it's masked with a friendly face. Fake friends are a form of soft manipulation. They don't show up in obvious cruelty. They appear in repeated small interactions that make you think, maybe I'm just as sensitive. But you're not. What you're noticing is imbalance. And that imbalance is built on emotional manipulation, linguistic distortion, and trust erosion. 3 pillars of what we call dark psychology. A fake friend doesn't need to say, I don't care about you. They just need to ask the right kind of questions. The kind that make you doubt yourself, step back, shrink a little, just to keep them around. You may ask, but they haven't really done anything wrong. And that's the most dangerous part. Fake friends often do nothing. They don't stand up for you. They don't respond when you need support. They don't show consistency. And yet they stay just close enough to keep you emotionally available. Carl Jung called this a reflection of the shadow. We allow people like this into our lives because they touch something wounded in us, the fear of abandonment, the hunger for validation, the aversion to loneliness. That's why we forgive coldness. We rationalize neglect. We shrink ourselves to maintain a friendship that was never reciprocal. Let's pause here. Ask yourself, do you feel emotionally drained after spending time with them? Are you always the one who initiates conversations? When you share something vulnerable, do they change the topic back to themselves? Do you hesitate to say no because you're scared they'll disappear? Have you ever found yourself defending their behavior when it clearly hurt you? If you answered yes to even 2 of these, you might be in a relationship built on imbalance. They don't have to be overtly toxic. It's enough that they're not truly present. And that's what makes them a fake friend. True friendship doesn't require proof. It brings peace. Stoic wisdom says, an honest friend is a fortress. They don't have to message every day. But when you need them, they're there. They're not perfect. But they never make you feel like you have to earn your worth. Fake friends do the opposite. They make you constantly check yourself. Am I being too much? Am I asking for too much? Am I being selfish? So why start with questions? Because fake friends won't stab you with accusations. They'll ask, why are you being so sensitive? You don't trust me? Are you accusing me? We'll go deeper into those next, but for now, just remember, if someone makes you feel tired, guilty, or unsafe again and again, even without saying anything clearly wrong, that is the red flag. You don't need a dramatic ending to walk away. You just need to stop ignoring the quiet voice in you that's been saying, this isn't what real friendship feels like. Question 1. Why are you being so sensitive? This sounds like a question, but it's not curiosity, it's dismissal. It reframes your reaction as a flaw. Tells you, you're the problem for feeling what you feel. A real friend listens when you're hurt. A fake friend makes you explain why you're allowed to feel that way. Here's what's really happening. They've crossed a boundary, and instead of reflecting on their impact, they make your sensitivity the issue. Now you're apologizing. You're pulling back. You're minimizing. Carl Jung would say, this is projection. When someone can't handle their own shame or discomfort, they throw it back at you. It's not, you're being too sensitive. It's, I can't handle how I made you feel. Dark psychology calls this soft gaslighting. It doesn't deny your reality outright. It slowly erodes your confidence in your own feelings. And Stoicism. It doesn't mean ignoring emotion. It means understanding it. Stoics observe feelings, not shame them. They ask, is this emotion useful? Not, is this emotion weak? So if someone says, Why are you being so sensitive? Then say, aloud or silently, I'm not being too sensitive. I'm being honest with myself. Are you uncomfortable with that? Because you have the right to name what hurts. And anyone who makes you feel guilty for doing so isn't protecting the relationship, they're protecting themselves from accountability. Question 2. You trust me, right? This question sounds like a soft invitation to connection, but what it really is a shortcut. A shortcut through your boundaries. When someone asks, you trust me, right? They're not looking for dialogue. They're not curious. They're asking for your silence, your blind faith, your surrender. Here's the trick. You're not being asked to evaluate trust. You're being asked to prove loyalty instantly. A healthy friend shows you trust through action. A fake friend skips the showing and demands the telling. And if you hesitate, they look hurt, offended. I can't believe you'd even ask that. Now the pressure's on you. Now you're defending your gut instinct instead of examining their behavior. Carl Jung talked about the stories we tell ourselves to maintain illusions. Sometimes, we agree to trust people we don't truly believe, just to preserve the version of them we wish were true. But Stoicism teaches us something different. That peace comes from clarity, not from fantasy. That we can choose who gets access, not based on how close they once were, but how consistent they are. Trust isn't a response to pressure. It's a response to evidence. So if someone asks, you trust me, right? And instead of explaining yourself, let their pattern answer the question for you. Because when someone needs to ask if you trust them, they probably already know the answer. Question 3. Are you accusing me? This question is a reversal, not a response. It's not about truth, it's about power. You bring up a concern, maybe something small, maybe something that felt off. And instead of clarifying, they fire back with, are you accusing me? Now you're on trial, not them. This is how fake friends flip discomfort back onto you. They don't want to address the problem. They want you to feel ashamed for even noticing it. You were looking for clarity. Now you're stuck defending your tone, your timing, your words. Carl Jung warned us that unresolved guilt often gets projected, and in manipulation, it's done with intention. Instead of reflecting on their behavior, they make your suspicion the real offense. Stoicism teaches us restraint, not silence, but focus. Epictetus said, when someone does wrong, don't take it personally. See it clearly. So when they say, are you accusing me? Hold the silence. Hold the tension. Then calmly say, should I be? Because if they weren't afraid of the truth, they wouldn't be dodging it. A friend who cares about the relationship won't try to shame you for raising a question. They'll say, no, but I hear why it might seem that way. Let's talk. That's what trust sounds like. Anything else is fear trying to look innocent. Question 4. Would I ever lie to you? This isn't a question. It's a performance. The words might sound shocked, hurt, even loving, but they're not asking for truth. They're asking for approval, for protection, for you to play along. You're not being asked to examine the facts. You're being asked to reassure their image. Because the moment they say it, would I ever lie to you? They've shifted the weight of proof onto your emotions. Now if you say yes, you're the one who's cruel, distrustful, cold. That's not honesty. That's image management. Real friends don't hide behind hypotheticals. They say, if I've hurt you, tell me. I'm listening. But fake friends, they dramatize. They act betrayed. They make you feel like asking the question was worse than whatever they did to trigger it. Carl Jung talked about the persona, the mask we wear to be accepted. And some people will do anything to protect that mask, even if it means denying what's underneath. Stoicism teaches, let actions speak. Let time reveal what words try to cover. So when someone says, would I ever lie to you? Then gently reply, That's not the question. The question is, would I even know if you did? Because trust isn't about promises. It's about patterns. And people who lie well never look like liars at first. Question 5. Can't we just move on? This question sounds like peace, but it's really avoidance. It's what someone says when they don't want to deal with the damage. They just want to skip the cleanup. You bring up something that hurt. They reply, "Can't we just move on?" And now you're the one holding things back. You're the one making it worse. You're the reason this can't go back to normal. But let's be clear. You're not stuck in the past. You're seeking resolution. There's a difference. Carl Jung reminds us. What we avoid doesn't disappear. It hides. Tea festers. Then it comes back, stronger, sharper, and harder to name. And fake friends know this. They know if they can get you to move on without closure, they never have to admit anything. Stoicism teaches us to face discomfort, to let it teach us, to not rush past pain just to preserve peace. So when someone says, "Can't we just move on?" ask yourself, do I feel seen, heard, understood? Because moving on isn't healing if it's done under pressure. True friends don't rush your healing. They hold space for it. You have the right to ask for understanding before moving forward. And if someone keeps pushing you to get over it, maybe it's not healing they want. Maybe it's silence. Question 6. Can you do me a favor? This one doesn't sound like manipulation. It sounds like need, like closeness, like trust. But real need has roots. It's mutual. It's built on presence, not just requests. When the only time they call is when they need something that's not friendship. That's excess. And if you say no, the warmth fades. The connection cools. Maybe they go silent. Maybe they guilt you. Maybe they say, "Wow, I thought you were different." That's not disappointment. That's exposure. They weren't looking for a friend. They were looking for a resource. Carl Jung spoke of the rescuer, the part of us that feels worthy only when we're helping others. It often comes from childhood, when love was conditional on how useful we were. And fake friends sense that. They don't see your boundaries, only your availability. So you keep showing up, keep giving, until you start to wonder if this is friendship, or just quiet servitude with a smile. Stoicism says, give from choice, not obligation. If your peace disappears every time you say, yes, maybe it's time to try, no. Try saying it. I care about you, but I'm not able to do that right now. If their reaction is love, they stay. If it's control, they vanish. You are not here to be useful. You are here to be whole. Question 7. Don't you remember? This one cuts deeper, not because it's loud, but because it's quiet, subtle, slippery. Don't you remember sounds innocent, but it's often used to distort, to erase, to replace your memory with theirs. This is how gaslighting begins, not with denial, but with doubt. Not with shouting, but with certainty. They say it with calm confidence, maybe even a smile, and suddenly, you're the one unsure. You start questioning yourself. Maybe I got it wrong. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I'm overreacting. And now the problem isn't what they did, it's how clearly you remember it. This tactic works best on people who care, people who reflect, people who want to be fair. Because when you're self-aware, you second guess, and fake friends exploit that. Carl Jung warned, when we stop trusting our own perception, we give others the power to rewrite our reality. And it never starts big. It starts with small edits. That's not how it happened. You always get things twisted. Wow, you're really remembering that wrong. Over time, these seeds grow roots. And soon, you're apologizing for things you didn't do. You're accepting versions of events that erase your pain. Stoicism tells us to trust our reason, not our fear, to examine, but not to surrender to others' frames. So when someone says, "Don't you remember?" then remind yourself, "Yes, I remember what I felt. I remember what happened to me." And if your version of truth makes someone uncomfortable, maybe it's because they benefited from the lie. You're not crazy. You're not broken. You're not too much. You're just waking up. Why we let them stay, and how to stop the cycle. Now you've seen the 7 questions. You've heard the subtle ways fake friends distort, disarm, and destabilize. But here's the harder truth. Recognizing the signs is only half the battle. The deeper question is, why did you allow them in? And why did you stay? Let's be clear, this isn't about blame. This is about understanding. Because once you understand why you tolerate emotional erosion, you reclaim the power to stop it. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." So let's bring the unconscious to light. You tolerated them because, somewhere in your story, someone taught you love meant effort. That care had to be earned. That your needs were too much. Maybe you learned to be the fixer, the strong one, the peacekeeper. Maybe you were praised for being low maintenance. Maybe silence was safer than conflict. So when someone ignored you, you waited longer. When someone blamed you, you explained harder. When someone hurt you, you made excuses. Not because you didn't see it, but because you were trained to look away. Fake friends don't always trick you. Sometimes, they just match the pattern of how you've always been treated. But here's the gift in all of this. Once you recognize that pattern, you get to break it. That's what shadow work is, looking into the parts of yourself you've hidden. Not to shame them, but to understand them. To meet the inner child, who first believed they had to be perfect to be loved. To forgive the part of you that thought boundaries would lead to abandonment. To stop confusing acceptance with being useful. When you stop performing, you start healing. So what now? You don't need to make a big announcement. You don't need to confront everyone. You just need to begin with 3 silent shifts. First, notice the pattern. When do you feel the need to prove, fix, or shrink? Then, name the feeling. Is it guilt, fear, unworthiness, habit? And finally, make one small boundary. Say no without explaining. Pause before responding. Leave a message unanswered. Tiny acts of truth, done quietly, done for you. Real healing doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks like finally not replying to a message that always made your stomach tighten. And you don't need to replace fake friends with more people. You just need to replace fake connection with real self-respect. Remember, you are not hard to love. You are not overreacting. You are not selfish for choosing peace. You are just ready to stop playing a role and start being whole. Let them go. Let yourself stay. This is how you stop the cycle. This is how you come home to yourself.